Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video today. As you'll no doubt know if you've been a long time viewer of this channel, Yasmin Finney was recently cast in the new Russell T Davies era as a character called Rose. Naturally, this has led many people to speculate as to what the purpose of this character is, with the most prominent and basically proven theory at this point, judging by various filming clips, being that she will be playing Donna Noble's daughter. However, this hasn't stopped people from peddling a narrative that Yasmin Finney is somehow replacing Billie Piper's character, Rose Tyler. And I want to delve into a little bit about why this is happening and how BS it is, basically, and that no, Yasmin Finney is not replacing Billie Piper. So the impetus for me making this video is this tweet from someone here where they say, I left a TLDR comment on a Lotus Eaters video about the Doctor Who recast of Rose Tyler. And they basically go on to say about how terrible it is that Rose Tyler's being recast as Yasmin Finney, despite that not being the case. But rather than responding to this person's critique, as they are obviously getting their information from somewhere else, I thought I'd dive into the original source for this person's misinformation. Hence, I tracked down this. Doctor Who reveals Rose. Now, I've never heard of the Lotus Eaters before. They apparently have got a big audience, 266,000 subscribers. So naturally, you'd think they'd have the resources to do the appropriate amount of research for a podcast as big as this, but apparently not.
Speaking of the Great Replacement, you've seen Black Anne Boleyn, you've seen Black Viking Queens, and now get ready for Black Transgender Rose from Doctor Who.
So already this is feeding into the Great Replacement narrative, a commonly peddled narrative by certain right-wing pundits to basically speculate that the entirety of anyone who's straight, white, or male is being replaced in some grand conspiracy to sort of wash away Christian and conservative values. It's dumb. It's a really, really dumb argument, but unfortunately, people like this latch onto it whenever they see someone who's not white on TV. And let's bear in mind as well that the lead for these specials is David Tennant, a straight, white man, and they are still annoyed at the mere presence of a character who is a black transgender actress, who's portrayed by a black transgender actress. These people will never be happy. That's what I want to basically get across in this video. It doesn't matter whether you do exactly what they want. It doesn't matter. If there's even a slight tinge of something that isn't straight, white, or male, they will be annoyed at it, no matter what.
I swear this was a meme.
It was, but now it's reality. This is what's actually going on. Before I go any further,
No, it isn't. It's not really what's going on. Rose Tyler's not being replaced. It's the fantasy you've constructed in your heads, and you are now continuing to peddle it to an audience who is willing to eat up any garbage that you serve them.
just point you to John's most recent article, one of his most recent articles, The Childhood That Governments Take From Us. While this isn't specifically the government, even though it's a collaboration, I think BBC and Channel 4 joint own Doctor Who now, because BBC alone lost the rights to it because they've done such a terrible job.
Okay, that's just blatantly not true at all. That's blatantly not true. I think what they're referring to is that Bad Wolf, some of the people behind the first Russell T Davies era, are coming in to co-produce the new Russell T Davies era. But these people, like I said, do so little research that they said, oh yeah, Channel 4 apparently partially owns Doctor Who now because they did such a terrible job, which not only just isn't true, but obviously it states very clearly what their intentions are. It's so transparent that, oh, they've done a terrible job, and oh, I wonder why that job's been terrible. Is it because the shows happen to have women in them? Perhaps. It probably will be that. Because it doesn't matter what the evidence is that exists to the contrary. It's about peddling the narrative regardless of how much facts actually go in the way of that narrative. So already these guys have shown that they have a pretty lax understanding of the truth when it comes to Doctor Who production. But let's carry on.
But this is certainly something of my childhood that's being destroyed and stamped and crushed right in front of me. And as far as I'm aware, yours as well.
I'm very salty about this.
Yes.
He's very salty about the fact that a transgender woman has been cast in a show. That's the entire basis for a show being destroyed. An actress has gotten a role and he doesn't like it because they fit a group that they don't want to see represented. That is the core of the reason that they believe Doctor Who is being, what was it that he said, pounded into the dirt? It's mental, it's ridiculous. And this video has come out before any of us have seen any of the new Russell T Davies era stuff, and already purely on the basis of that casting, they're assuming it's bad, it's pounding Doctor Who into the ground based on nothing. It's just that casting alone that is reason enough for them to believe something is bad.
Like I grew up with the Doctor Who New Who revival when it first came out with Christopher Eccleston and then David Tennant forming what I would call the golden era of Russell T Davies.
I wonder if these guys remember that literally in the first series of Doctor Who, it features a same-sex kiss. Do they remember that? They probably don't. And if they do, they probably see it as fine because it was before everything went wrong post-2016. Even though these things have always been there and will continue to be here till the end of time. No pun intended.
And Rose was a big part of that. Rose was, of course, played by Billie Piper, notably not transgender and notably not black. But it seems...
I don't know, I may be forgetting. Maybe she was.
I think Russell T Davies has come back to the show as the showrunner, and it seems that he might have suffered some dementia or like a long-term memory loss, because I don't think he remembers who he cast as Rose that first time.
I think he does. I think that's why she's not playing Rose Tyler. I think he does remember that, and I think you're the ones who actually just have no information and are just creating something and then getting mad about this hypothetical thing that doesn't exist. It's literally the equivalent of that scene in Wolf of Wall Street when they're like, hey, you know what a fugazi is? It's a fugazi, it doesn't exist, it's fairy dust, it's not real. That's what these people are arguing at. They are arguing at nothing.
Because he's not brought Billie Piper back. He's also cast, I've covered in a previous video that you should go check out, Dr. Diversity. He's cast Ncuti Guber, I think his name is.
Okay, what's the basis for him calling Ncuti Gatwa Dr. Diversity? I want to give you 3 guesses to why he calls him that. And I would hazard a guess as to the fact that he's a black guy, and that's the only basis for that nickname. Doesn't matter about anything about Russell said about the guy's acting chops and how he was the best guy for the job, which was what these guys always say they want. They don't believe it because it's not a white person. Because apparently, anyone who's not white cannot be hired on their talent. It's just impossible.
Something like that, a Nigerian refugee over into Scotland as the Doctor now, so we've got diverse Doctor, which I wouldn't really care about if it wasn't so transparent, the agenda being pushed.
What agenda? Like, the agenda of what? Like, he's a guy who was good for the role and he got the role, and also they refer to him as a refugee. I'm pretty sure, like, he was mostly raised in Scotland. He was born in Rwanda, not Nigeria, which I think they just think that all countries that aren't Britain are the same, I suppose. And they seem to just not have any, like, regard for Ncuti at all, which, you know, doesn't surprise me. But the way they're so callous in describing him is just, it's evidence alone of their motives behind this video. Their motives behind this video is not to report the news in an unbiased way, or is not to give their genuine thoughts on a show. It's to push a narrative to others of skepticism and hatred. That's the motive.
I'm sorry to be rude, but that really is the North FC meme.
It really...
The name. Like, so close. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I know. But, so, yeah, this is...
I don't know what meme that is. I don't know whether that's an inside joke I'm not getting, but I don't know what meme they're referring to.
I'm going to take this from Bounding Into Comics, who are like one of the only based publications for pop culture that are available right now. So, Doctor Who casts transgender actor to play character named Rose.
Sorry, just for a minute. As I said earlier to you, why not just call her Stephanie, make her a new character, and then make that character popular?
She is a new character. She's called Rose, but she's still a new character. What? She is a new character. She's just got the same name. Why not just cast a new character? She literally is, buddy. I hate to tell you. Yeah, she's got the same name because it's a tribute to an older character. It'd be like saying, oh, why make a black guy Spider-Man? Miles Morales is a separate character, just with the same name. Like, they're 2 different characters. Peter Parker and Miles Morales, 2 separate characters. Yasmin Finney's Rose and Billie Piper's Rose, 2 separate characters. They are not related other than a name which is presumably picked out by Donna or something to that effect. And you could say, oh, well, how do you know this for definite? And to be honest, I don't know the exact specifics of her name, but I know a lot more than these guys seem to, because if you look at any of the filming stuff, it's so transparently obvious that she's playing the daughter of Donna and not Rose Tyler. Like, it takes 5 seconds of research, which these guys will not do because it does not fit their narrative.
Or Tina. or anything. You know, you're in a creative position where you've got a world of possibilities. You're in the charge of Doctor Who. Doctor Who, who's a character who regenerates every time and travels across the universe in a magic, spacey, timey-wimey telephone box.
There are a lot of rules you can throw out the window for consistency.
And they often have done, trust me.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules you can throw out the window unless it's someone being cast who isn't white and also a transgender actress. That's where we draw the line, you know. Intergalactic space aliens, metal space fascists, Cybermen for the future, that's all fine, but we draw the line when black people and transgender people are on screen. That's when we draw the line.
But there's the point, which is just that they've had this last series of Dr. Karen and the Adventures of Diversity, and it's stunk.
Dr. Karen and the Adventures of Diversity has a woman in it, and he's also, as I've said before, the Chibnall era is one of the least politically progressive eras of the show. It's just that these people see women and black people go, oh my god, it must be woke liberal agendas. It's like, no, if you actually watch the content, it probably agrees with you lot more than you want to admit. But you just can't see past colour and gender and minorities.
Like
everyone hated it, and then Russell T Davies comes back and everyone goes, oh yay, Russell T Davies, he did the good stuff. And then Russell T Davies comes out with his if you take out the T, you kill speech.
Yeah.
And everybody realises, oh wait, you're a leftist hack. You've gone completely insane and intersectionality has rotted.
A leftist hack, one of the most decorated writers in British television. And the funny thing about them calling him, like, oh, he's gone off the deep end, this Russell T Davies. He'd have never done things like this before. His most acclaimed drama of recent was about the AIDS virus in the 1980s. You all are talking about Russell as if he's never had his political leanings worn firmly on his sleeve, and that's why a lot of people were excited to see his return, was because representation and depictions of minorities in Russell T Davies projects are typically very, very well done, which is why people were excited to see him come back, among other reasons, of course. But the idea that this is somehow a new thing that Russell's done, it just isn't true, is it?
Your brain.
But the active destroyal. So the fact that they came up with all these new characters, all the new characters sucked, everyone hated them, so they're literally just going to go back and just destroy the old characters as well. Why not?
Yeah, because this is part of the 60th anniversary, and they will be bringing back David Tennant again, despite the fact he was supposed to be ended 14 years ago, and also they're bringing back Donna.
Yeah, they're bringing him back. That's kind of customary per anniversary years. I don't know whether you've watched Doctor Who before, but they tend to do that when they have past Doctors coming back. They're typically called multi-Doctor stories. We don't know whether this is a multi-Doctor story. But bringing back old Doctors is not a new thing. It's not really a sign of desperation as such. As it happens, literally every 10 years of the franchise has had a multi-Doctor story. Even when the show wasn't on air, you had Dimensions in Time, which was a charity event thing. So even then, I think the only anniversary year that didn't have a multi-Doctor story as such was the 40th, and that had Scream of the Shocker, an animated release. But my point is that Doctors coming back for anniversaries is par for the course. It's not a sign of desperation and that, oh, we're trying to claw back the old fans who were left because of wokeness. It's bollocks. It's rubbish. It's not true.
Despite the fact that her character in continuity in the canon isn't supposed to remember any of her adventures with the Doctor that she had, or else her head will explode.
But who cares? Just
consequences, stakes in the narrative, what's that?
We don't know how that's going to be factored into the narrative, though. These guys are assuming that that's not going to be addressed, and that's not going to be covered, and they're basically already assuming that this is going to be crap, based on nothing other than their own personal biases that are influenced by their political beliefs.
Who cares?
But it's so horrible, because Rose had, I didn't like them bringing them back at all, but for people who haven't watched Doctor Who, she was the companion, she fell in love with the Doctor, they actually had a relationship, which the Doctor's not meant to have, and even he had feelings for her, and then she got sucked into a parallel universe, they could never see each other again, and then he burnt up a sun to send his last message to her, in which she says, I love you, and then just before he says it back, cuts out. And he can never speak to her
very
again.
melancholy, very heartbreaking almost.
Perfect ending. Perfect way to end the character and be like, okay, she's got to go do other things with her career, so...
But then they did bring her back in the fourth series for David Tennant's one of his finale episodes. I know you didn't like it. I didn't mind it. Obviously, it completely undercuts the ending, the beautiful ending that they had. But yes, could have been worse.
Could have been like, oh, by the way, now she's black and transgender for no reason.
Oh wait.
Okay, I didn't have much to add there because at the end of the day, the whole thing about, I didn't like how they brought her back after series 2, that is just their personal opinion on the series. Like, that part would basically just be me going, well, you have this opinion on the series, well, I have this opinion. I personally don't mind the series 4 return, I think it's quite cool, but they say, oh, it could be worse, they could make her black and transgender. Again, something that isn't happening, has never happened, and likely never will happen, but they have to perpetuate because it gets their audience annoyed and it gets them the clicks.
Wait. Yeah, so I'll just read some of this. So the BBC announced they cast a transgender actor named Yasmin Finney, and I love how Bounding Into Comments phrase this here. A man who claims to be a woman. True.
Rose now has a penis. So.
Yep.
Do I even need to respond to that? I don't have the energy to nail down why that sentence is just horrible.
To play a character named Rose for the upcoming series that is being crafted by showrunner Russell T Davies. I just want to point out as well, Yasmin Finney is 18 years old, which means that as a trans person, they are part of what I would call the trans explosion of the past few years.
Okay, trans person in quotes. What was the need for that? Do you want to elaborate on why you put transgender in quotes there? I don't think they will, because that's the thing. The way a lot of these videos work is it's all implied, it's all subtle, it's all suggested, where their audience fills in the blanks of what they're implying, but they don't directly, or sometimes they do just directly say what their issues are. But a lot of the time it's implied, it's suggested, so that people don't get too mad, and basically the bigoted sides of their audience, which is the majority of their audience, get to fill in the blanks for themselves.
Meaning that I wouldn't be surprised, despite the fact they're in the public eye, if, 15 years from now, they're part of the same backlash that I imagine lots of very young teenagers are going to be. Sad to say, but that's just what I see happening, and you know it will. You know it will. In a blog post announcing the casting, the BBC detailed Finney, who plays Ellie Argent in Netflix's Heartstopper, which I've never heard of before, never watched, but was apparently her first role. So this is Finney's second role ever, and Russell T Davies was just so impressed.
Trajectory,
I know. It's completely down to Finney's talent, obviously. No.
Heartstopper was one of the biggest shows on Netflix. Fair enough if you haven't seen it. I haven't actually seen it, but to say that she wasn't qualified or that it's not based on talent, despite her being in one of the most decorated shows on TV at the moment, or I guess streaming services if you want to be specific, that's a very, very big leap, to say the least.
No other agenda.
It's her lack of white privilege. She should be basically Prime Minister at this point. If she was white.
I know, exactly. She's just that talented. So Finney is playing...
I don't know what the whole point of the Prime Minister bit was. We've never had a POC Prime Minister before, so I don't know why they're saying, oh yeah, she'd be Prime Minister by now. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what you want me to say.
Playing the character of Rose and filming scenes that are due to air in the 2023 to coincide with the show's 60th anniversary. And what a way to celebrate the 60th anniversary of this show, eh?
What, by shooting it in the head?
What, by bringing back two of the show's most iconic characters, furthering their narratives? Yeah, what a terrible way to celebrate an anniversary. Man, I really can't think of anything worse.
Yes, and honestly, if they did just have it be a complete about face, like a 180, where it's just like the 60th anniversary is like, it just cuts to black and then it just cuts back in and everyone's dead. I think that would be the happiest ending that we could hope for Doctor Who right now.
We're sorry for Dr. Karen comes on screen and then just cuts to black.
No. Not even we're sorry for Doctor. Just we're sorry. And then it's just Russell T Davies with a single tear running down his face. Cut to black, done. It's unclear if Finney's character is related to Billie Piper's Rose Tyler, who is a companion to the 9th Doctor and 10th Doctor, or if it's a completely original character. On the casting, Finney stated
Okay, so they gloss over that part, but that part of the article that I think it's a Bounding Into Comics article that they're reading is quite interesting because it basically goes against their whole narrative that, oh yeah, Rose is being replaced because they say it could be an original character, which they gloss over very quickly, mainly because, as I said before, it doesn't fit their narrative.
If anyone would have told 8-year-old Yasmin that one day she'd be part of this iconic show, I would have never in a million years believed them. The actor added, this show has a place in so many people's hearts. To be seen as a trans actress by the legend himself, Russell, has not only made my year, it's made my life. I cannot wait to begin this journey for you all to see how Rose blossoms. Get ready. No. I don't think I will.
I'm already to see me as a trans actor, not to see you as an actress.
Or talented.
What? No. Just the point.
Well, evidently that is an important thing because people like you still struggle to see her as that. So, yeah, it probably is worth her pointing out, really, isn't it? She points it out exactly because of people like you.
Thing about her is trans.
You know, you could say, oh, as long as the stories are written well and the casts all perform their parts well, it could still be fine. And it's like, yes, but do you really believe that this is going to step away from the political correctness and the intersectional stuff that got inserted in during Dr. Karen's run?
No, but
again, we have that implication that politics was only inserted into Doctor Who when Chris Chibnall took over, and it's never existed before that. Despite the show's most iconic villains being basically space Nazis, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about any evidence or any facts. You know, it's just about inserting this narrative that post-2016, everything went bad, and everything is politically correct, despite these things having existed in all media since the beginning of time. Even things that these people will see as apolitical or non-political, they are presenting a political point, because even being non-political is political in a sense, and being, I guess, less politically correct is still a political stance.
This is going to amplify it.
It's good to have just an open admission, though. Yes, this is just a progressive skin suit. Like, we've murdered Rose. We're going to wear her skin, except put shoe polish on, essentially. And be like, yeah, she's black now. Why? Don't think about it. It's like...
A political skin suit? What? What?
What was it, Malfoy or whatever from Harry Potter, where the character got arrested in the London riots, so they cast him as a new guy, and the new guy was black, and I was like, yeah, but the old... okay.
That was a different character. I think what they're referring to is the actor for Crab, I believe, got recast due to, I think he was, as they say there, involved in like some riots or something like some sort of terrorism act or something like that. So they replaced Crab with Blaze. I'm not even a big Harry Potter fan, but even I know they're two separate characters. Okay, yeah, they don't dwell on it much in the movies, but they are two separate characters. They weren't replaced. They're just two separate people. But again, doesn't fit their narrative.
Okay, alright, yeah, fine, alright, well, accept that and move on. Davies also stated,
You're not accepting it, moving on though. You're seething at this. You're absolutely seething. You even said, you know, I'm really, really salty about this. So you very clearly haven't moved on from these very, very negligible things. And they're not even negligible, they're just non-existent things that you're getting mad about.
Life on Doctor Who gets brighter and wilder. How can there be another Rose? You'll find out in 2023, but it's an absolute joy to welcome Yasmin to the Doctor Who set. We all fell in love with her in Heartstoppers. I guess we did.
Yeah,
thanks for that one, Davies.
It's on my to-watch list, I swear.
Yeah. One of those shows which changes the world, if you say so. And now Yasmin can change the Who-niverse. Just let it end. Just let it end, for the love of God. Following
You don't have to watch it, right? This guy's face right here it perfectly exemplifies my face throughout this entire video. Like, throughout me watching this, little parts of my soul just get sort of stripped away slowly.
That was announcement. The BBC also announced that both David Tennant and Catherine Tate would also be returning to Doctor Who, and as noted by the BBC, Tennant's 10th Doctor and Tate's Donna parted ways, with the Doctor wiping Donna's memory and informing her family that if she remembers, she will die. So Russell T Davies has got a hell of a corner to write himself out of there, and I am expecting spectacular results. To be fair, I might just hate watch this.
I don't even know if I could.
I don't know if my spirit will take it, but I might just hate watch it.
I mean, it's like watching someone murder your childhood puppy.
Having a transgender actress and a black doctor is equivalent to murdering. I don't have the energy anymore. I just don't have the energy.
I mean,
it is. I get what you mean.
It's not fun. It's just
no, it's not. But I mean, we're going to have to do a video on this.
Maybe.
We're going to have to. But obviously, this is all obvious bait. And there's two theories that are going around right now. One is my theory, which is that they are bringing Rose back as a legacy character, because at the end of the first series with Christopher Eccleston, she absorbed the time vortex. So it's going to be, she can regenerate now, and like they did with River Song.
Well, your theory is wrong. Like, I don't want to be that guy. You know, you're free to speculate, but it's been pretty much confirmed that that's not what's happening. And again, Mr. Please not let me be here anymore is already putting his head in his hands at that suggestion, despite it not being real.
And therefore she
regenerated
into a trans woman who is black. Why not? There is also a theory that this new Rose is the son of Donna and her husband, and they just named her
son. Nice. Very, very classy.
Rose because of the fact that this Rose was really important to the Doctor. But how would Donna remember that if she can't remember, or her head will explode? It's really dumb. It's really dumb either way. It's gonna be terrible. And bringing back David Tennant and Donna in general is just a terrible idea. You're destroying stakes. No one will care anymore if you know that if this character is supposed to be dead, because that's what regeneration is. It's basically killing that version of the Doctor.
Any of the fans who even remember any of this have stopped watching.
It's a time travel show, though. As I've said before, Doctor's coming back is not a new thing. It doesn't destroy the stakes for any one incarnation. No one was saying when the 50th came out, 10 being in it destroys the stakes of the character. We don't fully know as to what capacity David Tennant's Doctor is coming back. The leading speculation is he's somehow going to change from Jodie into Tennant, but that doesn't necessarily negate the journey that the 10th Doctor in that incarnation went on. It's just some sort of time stuff going on wrong that leads to this outcome, essentially. So saying that it removes all stakes, I don't agree. But I guess if they believe that, then fine.
Like, none of your new, weird diversity fans watch the old one. They don't know.
And they've already destroyed...
I don't know whether I'm considered a weird diversity fan. I don't like the Chibnall era personally, but it's not for the reasons that these cretins say that it is. What I will say is, I've been watching since, sort of the end of David Tennant, and I've been watching ever since the last 10 years. And yeah, I do remember all of this, and I guess I would be considered woke, and it's actually you lot that seem to be misremembering the old stuff, because if you remembered Russell T Davies's first era, you'd know there was plenty of progressive politics in there if you looked.
The entire backstory of the story. Are you aware of the Timeless Child?
I don't want to be.
So tempted.
I watch Nerderotic talk about it, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Oh yes, well, if you watch Nerderotic, then very clearly you are, a source of Doctor Who encyclopedic knowledge. This actually explains a lot. They're getting their information from somebody who notoriously gets numerous things wrong, and then it's basically gone through to these guys who are then reporting on it from that perspective, despite that perspective not being real.
You've seen Nerderotic talk about it, then you know what I'm going on about, where they just completely retold the history, changed the history of the Doctor.
Was actually a humble migrant who gets abused by the native population of Gallifrey.
Yes, they culturally appropriate her, because she's a little black girl to begin with, her ability to regenerate. So, great. There's 60 years of history out the window because, I'm in charge right now, so I'm the one with final say.
I'm just thinking of that Simpsons meme of the kid who's just like, make it stop.
It's already dead, please. But let's take a look at what the new statement has to say about this.
Obviously, as well, the only issue they point out with the Timeless Child is, it's a black girl at the beginning. Not the fact that... What my major issue with the Timeless Child is that it makes the Doctor too important to the mythos. That doesn't matter. What's really important is it wasn't a white kid at the beginning, so therefore it bad. There's no critical thought beyond that. It's just transparent hatred of certain people being on screen. That's as far as it really goes. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave that there. I just sort of wanted to get my thoughts out on this because I've seen a lot of people saying that Yasmin Finney is playing Rose Tyler. And look, I'm not saying everyone who's believed that is one of these people saying that all of this stuff is bad and woke or whatever. What I am saying is, though, I hope this video goes some way in basically disproving the stuff that these people are peddling out, and hopefully goes some way in correcting the misinformation that's being very deliberately spurred in order to basically create this narrative of the Great Replacement Theory, this idea that white people are being replaced by basically any minority that isn't that. And yeah, hopefully that this has kind of showed how ridiculous this argument is, or at least as best to my ability. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you later. Shout out to Debs Iona, Shane Smith, Ree Keffin, Seb Lowndes, Jay Monroe, Hash Andycoot, Patrick Mewson, Simon Ashley, Steve Safaro, Andrew Townsend, Alex Robbins, Michael Dykes, Paul Bryden, Sam Yates, Michael Rhodes, Jerry the Meerkat, Heretic, Bibliotecaria Nerd, Cameron Jefferson, John M, Metahuvian, Ben Freeman, Andrew Evanson, Lucy, Josh Keck, JM97, Captain Obvious, Gallifreyan Rob, Cliff's Random Silliness. If you want to become a member, feel free to do so. It really helps out. You get exclusive posts, shout outs in every video, and even your own badge and custom emojis to use.